Hello, welcome to another stream for fans discussing fandoms. Today, we're going to start with a bit of news, and then we're going to move into Doctor Who, specifically looking at the 15th Doctor, his two seasons, and going through them, going through the bad, the good, the very bad, and just overall, was it good, bad, that sort of thing. So, firstly, a couple news related things. First of all, Marvel Rivals, we got two new skins this week. We have a Iron Fist one where it's like a if you played the game, you know they've been kind of doing like Ultron infected skins. They did one for Magneto, Hawkeye. I don't remember what the third one was, but the fourth one is Iron Fist, which is one of the skins for this week. And then the other one is Moon Knight, which is actually it's really exciting. So Moon Knight's skin for this week is like the Phoenix Force skin for him called Phoenix Knight. So it's kind of like Phoenix Force in Moon Knight, which is actually kind of cool. But this could be really exciting because if we're getting Phoenix Force with him now, that means potentially we might get Emma's Phoenix outfit, we might get Magic's, we might get Nemo's, and we might get Jean and, her Phoenix form, which would be really cool next season as a playable hero. But yeah, and then also Naked Gun trailer came out, which I've never seen the original and the new one. It looks fine. It does look fun. We have Liam Neeson as like the main guy in the movie, and it looks just like the original, like fun action comedy. So that's also really cool. So yeah, that's a bit of news that happened this week. So now moving on to Doctor Who. So we're basically gonna do this episode by episode. So if this works, I'm gonna attempt to share my screen so you guys can see like all the episodes. But we're gonna start with season 1, then season 2. Okay, so let's see if this works. Also, hello, unnamed builder. Hello, how are you doing today? So let's see. Share screen. If I select Doctor Who, do share. Did that work? Sometimes it doesn't work, which is why. Let me know in chat if this is working for you guys, because I honestly can't tell. Okay, so I believe it's working. If it's a bit laggy, let me know, because that does sometimes happen if I'm sharing my screen. But so, episode by episode. First of all, Church of Ruby Road. Honestly, I think it was actually kind of good. I liked the musical numbers, not gonna lie, in like on the ship with the goblins, I think they are in this. Because they're not aliens. I'm pretty sure they say like they're goblins, which is interesting. But it's fun. It's a fun episode. Yeah, the musical number was cool and it was fun. I liked also him like using the ropes and untying the ropes to like that be a thing in the episode. Ruby was cool. Like her introduction was cool. Her family, the fact that she kind of like disappeared from the world, and then like the doctor recognized that, and he like went back and saved her from being cut from existence. I think that was cool, and it was a cool like sci-fi concept that they played with in the episode. And then like Ruby's mom was cool to see, and her grandmother, they were just fun characters. So I think also the 15th Doctor, technically this is like his second appearance because his first appearance was in the special with Tennant and um I forget the dude's name, but like the game master, whatever his name was. So technically this is his second appearance, but for his first like actual solo episode, I think he was fun. The actor did very good and like he did make a very good doctor. So that was good for the first episode. Toy Maker, thank you. That's his name. So that was good. That was good. And then second episode this is where we go a bit downhill in my opinion. So I I think this episode was bad. Just the premise, I think, was fine. The fact that, like, space station and, like, a creature was made in the basement specifically to, like, instill fear into you and be, like, the boogeyman. I think premise-wise, that's kind of cool. It's just they messed it up with space babies and the fact that it was made out of boogers. Like, that kind of ruined the entire premise, in my opinion. So, I don't think this was a good episode. And then, third episode. Oh, okay, so this is where I think they butchered the entire aspect of his 2 seasons. So, part of his first season, because they didn't really do this in the second season, but first season, premise was gods. Gods now exist in Doctor Who, and they, are out causing a ruckus. It started with the toy maker, and then in this third episode, we get the god of music. And sorry, I'm just figuring out where to put something. So, this is kind of one of the issues I have with the gods. If you don't gods as a premise are gods. So, unlimited power, insane power, all of that stuff. And that sort of like enemy or creature, you kind of have to limit. You kind of have to limit somehow. Whether that be saying that the powers only work in the day or night, or maybe like they have some kind of caveat to the power set. But Doctor Who never limited their power set. Therefore, if you don't limit the power set of a god who inherently has unlimited power, then it's up to me to limit the god. And in my opinion, why would I voluntarily limit the threat just to justify the threat in your TV show? Like, that's not my job. That's your job as a TV show and as a writer who made this character. Yeah, I never saw the old series. So, like, for me, this was like because I started with the Ninth Doctor. So, this for me was like the first introduction of the gods. But yeah, so it's not up to me to limit the gods. So in this third episode, we get the god of music. And this is kind of my biggest issue with this episode. If she can wrap up the Doctor and Ruby with telekinesis, I know it's not telekinesis, it's like music. It's basically Venom, actually, now that I think about it. She's basically Venom, but with music notes. And so if she can wrap up the Doctor and Ruby and like trap them in instruments, right off the bat and the doctor has no defense capabilities against that, then she's too powerful for him. And there's not really a way that he can legit defeat her and like defeat the threat without some kind of like third person BS. Which in the episode, the BS was like Beatles had to find the correct music notes. But if you took away the Beatles, then the doctor's just dead. Like there's nothing he can do against this threat. So she's too powerful for him. So I think she was like the actor did do a good job with like the God of Music. She did a phenomenal job like playing it up and just being like threatening as the God of Music. The Doctor did good, Ruby did good, but again, I think she was just too powerful to justify the Doctor. Because it would be like, for example, if this might be kind of like a rough comparison, but like if you put Iron Man, base Iron Man in his like Mach 1 outfit against Magneto, it would be like that's a very uneven fight, and Magneto is clearly winning that fight. But then instead, Magneto just tosses him around for 20 minutes, and then Pepper comes up and snipes Magneto in the head. Like, I don't know, that might be a weak comparison, but it feels like the God of Music was like too powerful for a person whose biggest strength is being clever. And you can't really defeat a god by being like clever. I don't know. I just feel like she was too powerful. So I think the episode overall was fine, but I think the God of Music was a bit too powerful. Um Fourth episode, Boom. I think Boom was actually not bad. I think the premise of having an episode where the doctor is like on a landmine, I think like that limits the episode a lot with what you can do because the doctor can't move the entire episode. So I don't know. I think it was a fun episode, and I think it was just a fun episode. There was nothing spectacular about it, but it wasn't bad either. So next episode, 73 yards. This episode is interesting for me solely because I don't understand the point of 73 yards because the doctor isn't in it, right? It's purely just Ruby living out a life where she's just on her own and then she just dies at the end and it just resets back to the beginning. So I think there's nothing inherently bad about the episode. I think Ruby did a great job in it. It just feels very pointless to me in comparison to the rest of the season. So I don't really have any strong opinions about 73 yards because it just feels like a very nothing episode. Sixth episode, Dot and Bubble. I think it was fun. I liked the idea, like, of everyone trapped in their own bubble and monsters eating them because they can't get out of their bubbles. And then again, the Doctor and Ruby did great. So yeah, again, the episode was fine. It was good, and yeah, there's nothing really else more to say about that. Seventh episode. So this is something that we won't see until season 2, but I like Rogue. I like, you know, him. in the episode. I like how he's kind of like a pirate, kind of like a tech pirate, kind of like the swashbuckler type character. Also, apologies if it's a bit laggy. It's because I have Disney Plus open at the same time as streaming. That's why it might be a bit laggy. So I apologize for that. But yeah, I liked Rogue. I liked his interaction with the Doctor. Um, and I liked the like Renaissance type like setting for the episode. So that was all really good. I liked it. But then at the end of the episode, so Rogue gets lost in the hell dimension, right? So hell dimensions now exist in Doctor Who, which is wild in my opinion. And then they just leave him. Like again, you don't see this until the next season. But like he just stays trapped in a hell dimension for 2 seasons. And they don't mention it at all. Like, you don't get a moment, for example, where the doctor's like, ah, man, I wish we could go after Rogue, but we can't for XYZ. Or like Ruby is like, gee, I wonder how Rogue is doing. Maybe we should go get him. Like, there's none of that. It's just, he's just gone after this episode. And it's like, no one cares. No one cares at all. The fact that Rogue is just lost in this hell dimension, which I find very interesting that the Doctor just, again, just pretends like it didn't happen and just pretends that he just never met Rogue, despite Rogue just suffering and I assume fighting for his life in this hell dimension. So that's interesting. But again, I like Rogue's episode. He was a fun character. I liked him and the 15th Doctor's like interactions, like them dancing, for example. That was fun. I liked that. So now the two-parter season finale. So I honestly don't really remember Legend of Ruby Sunday that much. I know it sets up like Anubis. That's not his name, but they made him look like Anubis, so I'm gonna call him Anubis because I don't remember his name in the actual episode. But basically, it's the same problem I have with the God of Music. So I'm just gonna explain it, and then you guys tell me to stop when it starts making sense. So the in Old Who, Anubis was like lost in the time vortex, and then in this Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death, Anubis basically comes back. Bode wipes everything, and I mean everything. Every moment in like time and space, everywhere the Doctor has visited throughout this season, just dies immediately in like a flash of light. So already 2 minutes into the like episode, Anubis won. The Doctor lost because everything is dead. So already it's like, oh, okay, so this is gonna be reversed by the end. Great. So, and he just kills everything. And then at the very end, so the Doctor is with Anubis and Ruby. I think Ruby is there. She is also with Doctor and Anubis. Anubis points his hand. Doctor falls to the ground. And like sharing my screen because that might help with the like. So Anubis makes the doctor fall to the ground because he points his finger, and then the doctor like starts suffering injuries internally and like starts dying on the spot and falls to the ground. Right? So he's done, crippled, basically dead. Ruby approaches Anubis. They have like a MacGuffin, and Ruby breaks the MacGuffin. And Anubis gets all mad. So instead of Anubis like pointing at Ruby, killing Ruby on the spot, the doctor runs up to Anubis. And you might ask, when the doctor is running up to Anubis, why doesn't Anubis point at the doctor and make him fall to the ground like he did 2 seconds ago? Answer is because that would make too much sense. So, doctor puts a rope on Anubis, and then again, Doctor and Ruby run back to the TARDIS. You may wonder to yourself, why doesn't Anubis point at the Doctor and make him collapse to the ground like he did 2 seconds ago? Answer, because that would make too much sense. So the Doctor gets in the TARDIS. Ruby gets in the TARDIS. They go into the time vortex with dragging Anubis on a leash. And I don't remember if they specify if it's like a special rope. Oh, not. But either way, Anubis is being dragged by the rope as he hits the wall of the like time tunnel vortex that they travel in. As he's hitting the wall, it's undoing him killing everything. Somehow, that is like somehow that is counteracting him killing the universe. Okay, sure. So, and then I think they just like cut the rope and leave him stranded in the time vortex at the end of the episode. And that reverses the death of everything. And then, the Doctor and Ruby is safe at the end of the episode. Anubis is stranded at the end. And so it's just like, it's not awful as a season finale, but it's also like you can't kill everything in the first 2 minutes of the episode, because then that kind of cuts all the tension out of the entire episode, because we know that, that's not gonna stick. Like, we're not gonna go to the next season and everything is gonna stay dead. Like, that's not gonna stick, so obviously it's gonna be reversed. So, yeah, I don't think the season finale was very good because of that, and just because they just bold wiped everything in the first 2 minutes and then just retconned it at the end. So, yeah, I don't think that was very good, but moving on to season 2. So, I'm gonna share my screen again so we can just so I can remind myself of the episodes. So I'm just gonna give it a minute so that it kind of catches up. Okay, so season 2, and it might be a bit laggy because because I'm streaming the Disney Plus and stream, it's gonna make it a bit laggy, but just visually. Like, audio will still be good. It will just be visually that it's a bit, yeah. Um, just so that it might, yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep it on me, because if I keep it on me and Disney Plus, it gets very laggy. So I'm just gonna keep it on me. So, Robot Revolution, season 2, episode 1. It's fine. Like, again, there's nothing really amazing or great about it, but there's nothing like, I take that back. The villain was bad. He was bad and just forgettable and not great at all. I do think though Belinda like, for her first episode, I think she was interesting as a companion, and, I was looking forward to seeing her as a companion because I think this first episode introduced her pretty well. But yeah, like, again, beyond that, it's just like, okay. So, episode 2, Lux, God of Light. Same issue I have with the God of Death and the God of Music. If the god can bode wipe the doctor within 2 minutes, then he's too powerful of a threat for the doctor to face. And again, in this episode, the deluxe A trapped the doctor in film, and then after that, he like again pinned him against the wall and like slowly killed him. And I forget how he got out of that because it's been a while since I've seen the episode. But like, yeah, he was on the wall killing him. So, but like again, if he can just do that, then why doesn't he just do that with Belinda as well? Pin them both and then kill them both? Like, but yeah, so again, it's just he's the gods are too powerful for the Doctor to face in this season. I do think though, besides that, like I liked the setting, like a 80s theater was kind of a cool setting for a Doctor Who episode. So that was cool. Um, and then, right, third episode, The Well. So The Well is basically a sequel to Midnight. And I think as a sequel to Midnight, I think it was actually pretty good. Um, I think, like, I do think it kind of ruins the mystery of the Midnight Monster with the fact that we saw glimpses of the monster in this episode. I think that kind of like hurt the mystery nature and the mysterious nature of the monster. Like we don't get a clear look, but you do get like snippets of like, oh, okay, so it's kind of like a dog looking thing. So I do think that kind of hurt the like midnight monster identity creature. But aside from that, I think it was good. It was creepy. It was scary. I also liked how they defeated him with like cutting the like water fuel behind it so that it had to look at its own reflection. I think that was clever and kind of a cool way to defeat it. And I also like how at the end, it's not clear if it's like defeated or not. And the like question at the end is like, is it still alive? And it kind of presents the idea that it's just out in the universe now, capable of sorry about that. But it's just out there now, capable of just like being anywhere and just doing whatever it wants. I think that's kind of creepy and that's kind of a cool way to end that. So yeah, I liked that. And then fourth episode. Oh yes, fourth episode. So this is kind of an issue I have with Doctor Who at the moment in general. Is like let aliens exist. The world has been threatened enough times at this point that it should be very clear that aliens exist. We are not alone in the universe. There are monsters, there are aliens, there are Daleks, Cybermen, Slovene, Silence, etc. Like, it should be common knowledge that aliens exist at this point. Therefore, when you have an episode and the premise is that a dude doesn't believe aliens exist and is going after the like government agency whose entire purpose is to protect Earth from aliens. That again should be common knowledge at this point. I think that's very dumb because if the whole premise is that this dude doesn't like it's like being in the Marvel universe, right? And then going up against Shield and being like, "Hey, superheroes don't exist. Aliens don't exist." It's like, buddy, we were invaded a week ago on national television. Two of the Avengers are aliens. What are you talking about? So, like, that's why I feel like this episode is extremely stupid because aliens should exist. Unit should be recognized as a defender of Earth of aliens because, again, we've had what, like 60, 50 years of Doctor Who, and again, of stories where aliens are on Earth killing humans, invading the planet, etc. So, like, that should be common knowledge. And just, I don't like this episode because I think it's a very stupid premise. So, yeah. Next episode is the story on the engine. I actually kind of like this one. I think it was kind of cool seeing the doctor go to like a barber shop and like the wall like showing animated versions of the stories that they tell. I think that was cool. And that's kind of really cool, the fact that you can like sit there and tell a story and then the wall will like visually show it. I think that's actually really cool. Um I also am a sucker for big giant spiders. So the fact that this episode had like a big giant metal spider, I'm a sucker for giant spiders, so I immediately give it points because it features a giant spider. I don't care if it's metal or organic. I just love me some giant spiders. So that was cool. And then it was kind of cool how, like, at the end, he had all the televisions, and the televisions showed different doctors throughout the years and kind of their big moments. So that was cool. I liked that. And then, so end of this season. Honestly, the end of this season is not great. As cool premises, but not great. So, Interstellar Song Contest, I think it's fine. Like, I do think it's kind of dumb that the doctor can't, like, survive in zero G. Because, for example, I know Capaldi was wearing, like, a um, spacesuit, but he didn't have a helmet. And we saw him walking on the outside of a spaceship in zero G. And I feel like if he can like survive that, then I don't feel like it makes a lot of sense that the 15th Doctor just gets killed instantly after being blasted into space. But that might just be me being very nitpicky. But besides that, I liked how he like kind of pulled a Wally and like I forget what he used, like a confetti or a t-shirt cannon or something to like blast his way back to the ship. I think that was fun and just kind of cool. And again, reminds me of Wally because Wally did that with a fire extinguisher. So that was cool. But again, besides that, like there was nothing great about this episode. There was nothing bad about it. I did like actually, sorry, the fact that we got to see the 15th Doctor be kind of like cruel towards somebody and like violent towards somebody because we haven't really seen that before now. Kind of like getting a hint at how dark he can be when, like, if you piss him off. So that was kind of cool. But besides that, again, nothing really to write home about. But something do to write home about in a negative way is this at the end of this episode, we see the Ronnie, and the Ronnie is introduced in like an after credit scene for this episode. But when you introduce a big threat, you kind of have to give them something. Something that makes you go like, "Oh, okay, this dude is kind of a threat, and I should kind of be afraid of this dude." The Ronnie, she is a character from Old Who, and that isn't enough to make her a threat. For example, I never watched Old Who, so I have no idea who the Ronnie is. So, when the Ronnie showed up in this episode, I didn't care. Because again, I don't know who she is from Old Who, so I don't have any like anything to compare her to. And then in this episode, like she didn't do anything threatening or scary, so I have nothing to be afraid of her about. It's just like she shows up and, uh, Russell T. Davis is like, "Hey, look, we have the Ronnie. You remember the Ronnie? You should be afraid of the Ronnie." But again, someone like me who never watched Old Who is like, I don't care about the Ronnie. Like, she doesn't do anything in this episode to make her a threat. Therefore, she's not a threat, in my opinion. So then we get to reality. Whoa. Wait, sorry. Is that sorry, that's the next one. Wishwold is the next one. So this is an interesting episode. Premise-wise, I think this is great. The fact that like the doctor and Belinda is trapped in this like world that Concode created and like wished into existence. And I think it's a cool premise, but I feel like the like catalyst for this entire thing kind of breaks everything in this episode. So I'm gonna just like talk about this and then the reality woe kind of at once because they just meld into each other for me. So I'm gonna like the things I talk about is gonna jump between the two. So Ronnie wants to free, I forget his name, but someone from Old Who who's like trapped in the like under universe, I think they call it. And so her plan to free him is to get a baby who is the god of wishes, and then use said baby to give it to Concode so Concode can make this fake world. And then the doctor's doubt will like shatter the world, which is like okay. But if you and she wants to resurrect Gallifrey using this. Like she wants to free the old god, the old time lord, and like with his help, resurrect Gallifrey. The issue with that though is if you have a baby that can grant any wish in the world, and you don't limit the powers of that baby, why not just wish for Gallifrey to come back into existence? And you could say, oh, but maybe the baby isn't strong enough for that. But A, she has boosts, like power boosts, to boost the baby's power in order to have it create this fake reality. So, if it's powerful enough to make a fake reality, and Amnesia, the doctor, and Belinda, and everybody, why can't it just spawn Gallifrey back into existence? Like, I feel like that's not a giant stretch. So, but yeah, so that's dumb. Um, And then and then also, so they free the, old Time Lord, who is now just kind of like a giant, like, mummy, kind of like a zombie mummy, and he eats the Rani. So, I go back to what I previously said. Ronnie shows up, proceeds to do nothing, and then gets eaten. Therefore, not only did you bring back a character from Old Who, but you did her worse and you made her a very bad character in the eyes of someone who has only seen New Who. Because again, as someone who has only seen New Who, I look at her and, I'm supposed to be like, oh, she's this giant threat to the doctor and she's like this intimidating, scary threat. But in my eyes, she appeared, did nothing, and then got eaten. That isn't really the signs of someone I should be afraid of. So yeah. And then plus everything that she does, Mrs. Flood could have just done. Like because again, Mrs. Flood, she could have stolen the baby. She could have given it to Concode. She could have created this fake wish world. She could have freed the time load. And then she could have just left like she did. Like, the Ronnie is only there to get eaten, which, again, it's like, okay, sure. So, yeah, I don't think that's very good. There's a line in Reality Woe where Harriet Jones tells the doctor, I see us all as your children, which, no, no, please no. A, why? Like, if anything, you're allies and you're like soldiers standing in a line against the threat. You're not his children. And I hate that line so much because it includes Belinda and like Ruby and everyone else. And then thinking about how in the Wish world that Belinda and Doctor have a child together, that makes the line of I see us as your children so much worse because that means he has a child with his child, which is why that line is not good at all, and I hate it. But yeah, and then that's kind of it. Like aside from that, like I think they could have went deeper into Wish World and kind of like because also too, if you want the Doctor to doubt, why not have him be like a conspiracy theorist? Have him be like the sorry, my throat is getting very scratchy. But yeah, like have him be like a conspiracy theorist on the side of the road. Like, you don't like this man and you actively hate this man. Why are you giving him a wife and a child and a home and a job? Like, why not make him like a bum on the side of the road because you don't like this person? I feel like that would have worked a bit better. Like, Doctor could be like a conspiracy theorist on the side. Maybe Belinda has the job. Ruby is off doing her own thing. Um, but yeah, I feel like that would have been a bit cooler and made a bit more sense. Oh, and then I'm sorry, Rogue also shows up. This whole time, he's been trapped in like a hell dimension, which they still don't resolve at the end of this, which means he's still going to be trapped in a hell dimension, which is interesting. But yeah, he just shows up and he's like, hey, Doc, like, A, how did you get into this fake reality? And then B, where are you? Right? But yeah, so he's like, Doc, the world's fake. Everything's a lie. The tables aren't tables. And yeah, he like tells the doctor, then the doctor starts questioning everything. But yeah. And then the doctor defeats the evil time lord with gun, which again I find is very interesting. But yeah, so that's basically his 2 seasons. I do think like overall, I think the 15th Doctor and his 2 seasons, it's not bad, but I don't think it's great. I think it has very low lows, like moderate highs, but like nothing on this level. Like nothing like the Zygon invasion with Capaldi, Tenet in the Titanic, Pandora with Will Smith, um, Breathe with Capaldi. What other big moments are there? Um, but yeah, like moments like that with the previous doctors who, they have their episode. Oh, the Where I Stand is Where I Fall episode with Capaldi, with Missy and the Master. That was a banger. But like, yeah, I don't think the 15th Doctor kind of has anything on that level. I think it like the highest it gets is Hail. It gets really low, but there's nothing on this level, which is kind of disappointing. And I feel like also these 2 seasons, there was a lot of like characters coming back from old Who, which is fine, but they didn't do anything with them. Like the Vani, for example, again, she appeared, she did nothing for 20 minutes, and then she got eaten. Um, and then the time load, again, he appeared, got shot, and left. And then there was someone else who came back from Old Who, but I don't remember who. Oh, and then Anubis. Again, Anubis appeared, killed the universe, but then that didn't mean anything because it got reversed at the end. So, like, it's like, why are we bringing these characters back if you're not going to do anything interesting with them? Just leave them alone if you're not going to do anything with them. So, yeah. So, yeah, I think those are kind of his 2 seasons. Not great, but not horrible either. It does have some good moments, and I like Ruby, I like Belinda. I do like the actor of the 15th Doctor. I do think he kind of deserved another season where he could have been given, like, Zygon invasion episodes, or Breathe episodes, or David on the Titanic episodes, or Pandorica, or, or his own Midnight. I think he kind of deserved another season to kind of get some episodes like that, but he is out of the picture now because now we have Rose as the new Doctor, Billy Piper, which is fine. I'm interested to see what she can do, but I am also very worried because if like it's the same showrunner, then judging on these 2 seasons, I am worried that we're going to get the same level of quality. I could be wrong, but we just have to wait and see. So, yeah. So that was kind of a look at his 2 seasons. Yeah, okay. So there's something else I want to mention. So something else I want to mention is just the future of Doctor Who. I think the future of Doctor Who, like, it kind of needs a shift in the sense of it's kind of been like the same thing for, sorry about that. it's kind of been the same thing for, like 40, 50 years. And me, personally, I feel like it's kind of getting a bit like, okay, we've kind of been here too long. Can we maybe switch up the formula a bit? And I don't mean like a drastic shift, but like something. Because, for example, if you look at Supernatural, that is 15 seasons. If it was 15 seasons of Sam and Dean on the road, hunting monsters, staying in hotels, getting takeout, I would have checked out at season 6 because that's not enough for 15 seasons. They had a shift where, they got the bunker from the Men of Letters. So, they weren't on the road anymore. They had a station base they could go hang out with, have adventures in. The mom came back, which was cool to see. The dad came back for a bit. So, it had a shift where it didn't change like the overall premise, but it did add a wrinkle where they could do some new cool stuff with it. Doctor Who, I feel like kind of needs that wrinkle. And part of me, like, they can do it in a lot of different ways. Like, maybe the TARDIS is broken for a couple seasons and they can't travel in time anymore. It's just space that they travel in. Which, that could be cool because then we could see more of the Doctor Who universe. We could see more planets, more aliens, stuff like that. And that could be kind of a cool wrinkle. Maybe for his companion, instead of a human companion, he has an alien companion who, knows nothing about Earth. That way, when we do have a Earth centered episode, like, because she's an alien and she doesn't know anything about Earth, it's like an alien planet to her. And so she can be like, oh, wow, like escalators, electricity, windmill. And, she can be surprised at like all of these things that we just, are just normal to us. So that could be kind of cool. Um, I know as well it would be cool to kind of see a bit more of the TARDIS because I feel like the 15th Doctor, they kind of just used the TARDIS to get from point A to point B, and that was kind of it. And I feel like compared to like the TARDIS is a very iconic vehicle in Doctor Who, right? Like it's similar to the Death Star from Star Wars, or the Millennium Falcon, or the USS Enterprise from Star Trek, or even like the car from Supernatural. It's a very iconic vehicle, but and the other things I just mentioned, like the car, the USS Enterprise, the Millennium Falcon, we kind of know how it operates. Like, we know what the inside looks like, we know what it's capable of in a fight, we know, like, what the interior looks like, we kind of know how the engines operate, and it kind of feels like its own character that we've seen, like, be maintained, be repaired in the midst of epic battles. Like in Star Trek Beyond, I think it was, when the USS Enterprise got like shredded, I felt something. I was like, oh my gosh, the USS Enterprise, like my boy, I felt something because again, I feel like we had gotten to know the USS Enterprise. I knew how its engines worked. I knew what it could do in the dogfight. So it was like, it felt like a character getting killed. Versus the TARDIS at the moment, I feel like we don't really have that same level of connection. We don't really know how it works. Aside from the control room, we don't know what the inside looks like. We don't know like where the rooms are or where the hallways lead or like anything like that. We don't know if it has a library or a kitchen or if the pool is still around. So we don't really know anything about that. And then same with like We don't know how it works in a dogfight. We don't really know how the engines work and things like that. And we've never seen it be maintained. So I kind of want that as well going forwards. Like I want to see the TARDIS be treated like an actual character. I want to see it be maintained. I want to see how the engines work. I want to see the TARDIS beyond the control room. Like, for example, in these two seasons, whenever they would go in a room and then just come out in a completely different set of clothes, yes, that's cool. But also, I would have liked to see where the clothes came from. I would have liked to see like a giant wardrobe with like hundreds of different outfits, like Easter eggs with Easter eggs to his previous outfits, that sort of thing. Because again, it makes the TARDIS feel like a character and not just like a phone booth where Superman goes in, changes his outfit, and then just leaves. So I would like to see that in the future of Doctor Who, like treat the TARDIS like a character and like actually let it do stuff within the stories besides just being a travel point from point A to point B. Kind of like Matt Smith's era, because they did do stuff with the TARDIS in the Matt Smith's era with like, making it a person, which was cool. Um, but then like having it explode and having him and Amy go through the like inside wreckage of it, that was really cool. So like again, more things like that. Show us the pool because we know there's a pool from Matt Smith's one. So show us the pool. But yeah, and then I think that was it. TARDIS, companion. Uh, and then last thing, I mentioned this earlier, but let aliens exist. Let the public know about aliens. Let UNIT be the like sole defender of Earth against aliens. And again, just let aliens exist because again, they've been invading the planet for 50 plus years at this point. It should be common knowledge that aliens exist. Again, it's like MCU going and do the MCU and then being like seeing the Avengers fight off an alien invasion and then going home and being like, aliens don't exist. The Avengers don't have superpowers. It's like, buddy, you just watched it. So yeah. So that's gonna be it for today. Um Bit of news in the beginning, and then talking about the 15th Doctor and the future of Doctor Who. I am looking forward to the future of Doctor Who because I do love Doctor Who, and I just love sci-fi in general. But yeah, optimistically worried about the future of Doctor Who. But yeah, thank you all for joining. I know we had a couple more people joining us today compared to our last stream. So thank you all for joining. Thank you all for um, talking in the chat. It was nice to talk with some of you guys. Check us out on Instagram at Fans Discussing Fandoms. It's where we post updates on when we're streaming. We also put out posts about things happening in pop culture. So, new movie trailers, new game trailers, updates on games, movies, video games, like, Marvel Rivals, what skins they're releasing every week, that sort of thing. We also put out stuff for comics. So every Monday, we put out comics releasing this week. And that could be Marvel, DC, Coffin, Indie, Boom, Indigo, Image, etc. There's a bunch of indie comics out there. But yeah. And then Tuesday, we highlight different variant covers of the comics releasing that week. And it's kind of just my favorite variant covers from the comics releasing that week. But yeah, so we stream every Thursday, and every Thursday we talk about a different topic like this. And yeah, so thank you all for joining, and check us out on Instagram. Subscribe here. Check out our other videos, and leave a comment in the live if there's a specific topic or game, movie you want me to talk about. And yeah, I will see you all in the next one. Thank you for joining. Bye bye.